Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven here, and today I wanted to talk about driver's anxiety. So, having anxiety as a driver is very dangerous because you can have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, hyperventilating, and not being able to breathe, and all that stuff. Very, very dangerous when you're trying to focus on getting from one point, like point A to point B in your car, and you like all of a sudden can't seem to function. I have driver's anxiety, and when I first learned to drive, I was about 22, or it was 22, 23, I don't remember. I think it was 22. And driving for me was really scary. When I first started driving, I was really afraid of driving. I thought I was going to be really horrible. And I think the reason why I had driver's anxiety is because of events that led up to, my whole learning how to drive experience. All my friends learned how to drive when they were like 16, and my parents had always told me that I couldn't learn how to drive unless I got myself a car. And I explained to them that that seemed kind of ridiculous because why would I buy something that I don't even know how to use? And, I can't do, there's so many obstacles that they kind of put in my way. Like, I have to have a job, and I have to be able to get to work, and I don't have a car, and nobody wants to drive me, and yada yada yada. So that was really chaotic, just growing up trying to learn how to drive from my parents. And then when they finally did take me out to learn and they were teaching me, they would yell at me a lot. And I'm not trying to make my parents look bad. It's just that when I would drive the car, if I would make a mistake, I'm actually really bad at turning. Not really bad, but I take really wide turns. I still take really wide turns. And it's something that I'm trying to work on. I need to slow down and go around the curve at a good speed. I either go too slow or I go too fast. And it's just you're gonna end up tipping the car. But I am trying to get better at that. I've only been driving for a few years, so like I said, I am still learning. But when I was younger, I used to make these wide turns and I would go too fast, or I'd press the brakes way too hard. That's something that I think a lot of people do when they first start to drive. They press the brakes too hard and I would get yelled at. And it's whether I drove with my mom or I drove with my dad, they'd both yell at me. And so I kind of automatically associated driving with negative feedback. And I would always feel like if I drove, something bad would happen and I wasn't a good driver. So that's why I have driver's anxiety. At least that's what I think is the cause of my driver's anxiety. I didn't really realize I had driver's anxiety until I had a anxiety attack. My first time driving in Mississippi, I took the car off the base and I'm driving and Nick tells me to make a turn, and he didn't tell me which way to make the turn. He didn't tell me left or right. And so I made, I think I made a left turn and he meant right. And as soon as I turned, he started yelling at me, and I stopped driving. I froze. I panicked. I was in the middle of the road, halfway turned, and I was just I can't. I just couldn't breathe. I was freaking out. He thought I was joking. He thought that I was just being an asshole. So he got irritated. And then he slowly started to realize, wait a minute, you're not faking it. That you're really feeling this way. So he gets out of the car, he runs around, and he grabs me and pulls me out of the car and puts me in the passenger seat. And then he starts driving because we're in the middle of the road and we can't be there. So that was really, really dangerous. It's if the road had been busier, if we had been in a busier location, we could have gotten in a car accident because, just that little thing triggered me into having an anxiety attack, and I couldn't breathe and I couldn't move and I just froze and I just felt really stunned. And it's I don't understand human bodies and human brains and how they work, but it's it's kind of sad how something as small as what I went through with my parents, to me that's not that big of a deal, but obviously it's a big deal because look at how it affected me later on in life, and it took me so long to drive. Now, do I still have driver's anxiety? Yes, I do still have driver's anxiety. How I dealt with driver's anxiety to kind of calm it down so that I can drive myself around is I just practice driving as much as possible. First, I would just drive around a lot with Nick in the car or whoever in the car, and I would drive as much as possible. When I lived in Ohio, I had to drive an hour from my house to my job, so that was a lot of practice sitting in the car for a good hour. And I didn't take the freeway for like about a year, I didn't drive on the freeway at all. I'm still a bit nervous about driving on the freeway by myself, but I can drive on the freeway without freaking out too bad. And the only time I ever freak out is if people like are driving really crazy, and then it does kind of like make me feel like I'm about to shut down, and I just have to like breathe and slow down and like breathe and calm myself. And usually when I'm driving, I'll listen to music, and a lot of people make fun of me for this. I love classical music. I think it's very calming and relaxing, and a lot of times I will be listening to either Taylor Swift or classical music. And I like listening to Taylor Swift because for some reason she does calm me down. So I guess the best way to like work on driving anxiety, if you have it, is to practice driving as much as possible, because you really have to get used to how to react to it as much as possible. Of course, you want to have someone with you, so just in case you don't react in a positive way and you end up having an attack and you can't calm yourself down from that attack, you have someone with you who can drive for you so you can calm yourself. But practice driving and get out there and just don't let it get in the way. Don't ever let any kind of like anything stop you from being a person, because without driving, I honestly wouldn't be able to do anything. I live in Mississippi right now, and if without driving, I would just be stuck at home all day. Like, it's very lonely here and isolating. You can easily feel isolated here in Mississippi. So, or in the part of Mississippi that I live in, because I know that there are other parts, and probably parts that are probably more fun than this part. But the part that I live in is very like, it's a very small town that I live in, so it's just like there's not much to do, and you have to really drive out of your way to get to the, you know, like bowling alley or something. You have to drive pretty far. And I just hit my hand on my light. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for that. And like I said, I do breathing exercises to kind of calm myself, and it's just like, and it does make me feel a lot better. I know that some people might not understand it. Like, if you don't have any kind of anxiety or anything, you're like, bull crap. But people who have anxiety, they know what I'm talking about. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you guys are safe and drive carefully and make sure that you are, I may seem like an over worrier, but I actually, I'm just like very cautious of like what I do to make sure that I don't end up hurting myself or other people. So yeah, so that's the video for driving anxiety, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Thanks for watching.
It's the kind of beat that go.